Right now, somewhere in the world, a 77-year-old woman just posted her very first YouTube video. She had no professional camera, no editing team, no viral track record, no massive budget behind her. Just a message, a purpose, and the courage to press record. In 7 days, that video crossed 35,000 views. Her channel was monetized, not after years of grinding, but from that single upload. Her name is Sherry, and her story isn't the exception. It's becoming the rule. But here's the thing. Before Sherry ever hit that upload button, she had to do something far harder than learning camera angles or writing a script. She had to dismantle every false belief she had ever been told about YouTube. Because those beliefs, not lack of talent, not lack of equipment, not lack of time, those beliefs are what truly keep most people from ever starting. And today, that's exactly what we're going to do. Welcome to Hems Reports. I'm Mike. Today we're going deep on 8 of the most dangerous, most widespread myths about YouTube that are circulating right now. In comment sections, on creator forums, in coffee shop conversations, and maybe even in your own head. We're going to take each one apart, not with motivational speeches, but with data, real stories, and cold hard logic. Because whether you've been thinking about starting a YouTube channel for 6 months, or you gave it a shot and quit, or you're currently grinding but starting to doubt yourself, this one is for you. Let's get into it. Ask almost anyone why they haven't started a YouTube channel, and within the first 30 seconds you'll hear some version of the same thing. It's too crowded. Every niche is already dominated. There are already 50 channels doing exactly what I want to do, and on the surface, that fear doesn't sound unreasonable. After all, the numbers are staggering. Over 20 million videos are uploaded to YouTube every single day. By the time you finish reading this sentence, dozens of new videos have gone live on the platform. The sheer volume of content being produced is enough to make anyone feel small, invisible, and frankly, irrelevant before they've even started. But here's where logic and emotion diverge. And this is critical. Let's define what saturation actually means, not in a vague emotional way, but in a real economic sense. Saturation, in a market context, means that supply exceeds demand. When a market is truly saturated, prices fall. Consumers have more options than they need. New entrants struggle to find footing. The economics of the entire space contract. So the real question is that what's happening on YouTube right now? Not even close. YouTube generated $60 billion in revenue in 2024 alone. That number didn't plateau. It grew, year over year, quarter over quarter. Ad revenue on the platform climbed 15% year over year by the end of 2025. And here's the data point that stops most skeptics. Cold brand spending on YouTube creators is growing at 4 times the rate of brand spending in traditional media. Read that again. Companies, major brands, Fortune 500 businesses, and fast-growing startups are pulling money away from television, print, and radio, and they're pouring it into YouTube creators at an accelerating pace. Not slowing down, not pausing to reassess, accelerating. If YouTube were truly saturated, we would expect the opposite. Advertisers would be pulling back. RPMs, the revenue per thousand views, would be declining. Brand partnerships would become harder to land. None of that is happening. Think about it this way. A sponge, when it's truly saturated, cannot absorb another drop. Water just rolls off the surface. But YouTube isn't behaving like a saturated sponge at all. It's behaving more like a river, growing wider, flowing faster, and capable of carrying far more than it ever has before. This one stings a little differently than the saturation argument because it feels personal. It's not just about the platform, it's about you, about your odds, about whether putting yourself out there is ultimately worth it. And yes, let's be honest, the failure rate on YouTube, on the surface, looks brutal. Most people who start channels do stop. Many do so within the first few months, discouraged and demoralized. And so the logical conclusion seems to be, the odds are stacked against you. This is a fool's game. Don't even start. But that logic has a serious flaw in it, one that becomes visible the moment you examine the data more carefully. Research conducted by The Tilt, one of the most respected analytics organizations in the creator economy, found that the average channel that achieved real, meaningful traction took between 18 and 24 months to get there. Not 6 months, not 1 year. 18 to 24 months of consistent, committed effort before momentum truly started to build. Now compare that to when most people quit, within 3 to 6 months. What does that tell you? It tells you that the overwhelming majority of people who failed at YouTube never actually gave the platform a fair chance. They quit at month 4 of a process that requires month 18. That's not failure. That's abandonment. And the moment you understand that, everything changes. Because you're not actually competing against everyone who ever tried to grow a YouTube channel. You're competing against everyone who stayed. And that is an infinitely smaller, infinitely more manageable group of people. But let's go even further, because there's another angle to this that almost never gets discussed: the downside risk. Think about starting a traditional business, a restaurant, a retail shop, a service company. Studies consistently show that more than 90% of small businesses fail within the first decade. A significant portion don't survive their first 3 years. And when they fail, they leave behind real, tangible damage: broken leases, unpaid loans, lost savings, financial stress that can take years to recover from. The typical YouTube creator who goes all in for 18 to 24 months and finds themselves in a position where it hasn't worked the way they hoped? According to the Tilt study, the upper end of what committed creators spend on their channel, including a decent camera, editing software, a proper workspace, and online education, comes to around $10,000. That's the high-end failure scenario. $10,000 and 2 years of your time. But here's what that 2 years actually gives you, regardless of your subscriber count. You developed real communication skills. You learned how to structure an argument, tell a story, and hold someone's attention. Skills that transfer directly into almost every professional environment you could name. You developed an understanding of marketing, branding, and audience building. You built relationships, opened doors, and created a public portfolio of your thinking and expertise. Some of the most successful professionals in media, marketing, and business right now spent time building YouTube channels that never went viral. And they'll tell you that the skills and connections they developed during that time were worth every hour and every dollar invested. That's not failure. That's the foundation of something larger than you planned for when you started. And there's one more point that deserves to be said clearly: it might actually be a greater failure to never start. Because the alternative to starting and not making it as big as you hoped isn't safety. It's the lingering weight of wondering, of going to work every day carrying the quiet, nagging question of what might have happened if you had just taken the chance. That kind of regret is its own cost, and it's one that never fully goes away. Mr. Beast is worth billions. His enterprise, spanning a YouTube empire, a food business, a chocolate company, and a growing media machine, has been valued at over $5 billion. He is, by every metric, one of the most commercially successful content creators the world has ever seen. And when regular people look at that and then look at themselves, sitting at their kitchen table with an idea and maybe a decent phone, the contrast feels almost insulting. Like the gap between where they are and where success lives is so vast, so insurmountable, that the only rational response is to not even try. But this comparison is deeply misleading, and here's why. YouTube is not structured like Hollywood. In the traditional entertainment industry, the economics are genuinely winner-take-all. A handful of studios control distribution. A handful of actors command astronomical fees. A handful of directors get the blockbuster budgets. Everyone else is fighting for scraps, hoping for a break that statistically will never come. YouTube is a fundamentally different ecosystem. Yes, a disproportionate amount of visibility and advertising revenue flows to the largest channels. That's true. But the platform is vast enough, diverse enough, and commercially robust enough that a creator with 12,000 subscribers in the right niche can generate $2,500 per month, combining ad revenue, affiliate partnerships, and brand sponsorships. That's $30,000 a year. That's a real income. It might not allow you to quit your day job tomorrow, but it can fund a vacation, eliminate a car payment, pay off debt, support a side hustle, or simply give you a level of financial breathing room that changes the quality of your daily life. And this isn't a rare anomaly. The data is increasingly clear that a genuine middle class is emerging in the creator economy. Channels earning between $10,000 and $100,000 annually grew by 38% year over year. Not 5%, not 10%, 38%. Right now, there are 3 million active channels enrolled in the YouTube Partner Program, meaning YouTube is actively sending those creators a regular paycheck. 3 million. The overwhelming majority of those channels are not MrBeast. They are niche educators, subject matter specialists, local business owners, independent coaches, and passionate hobbyists who found an audience and built something real. In the last 4 years alone, YouTube has paid out over $100 billion to creators through the Partner Program. $100 billion. Distributed across millions of creators of every size, in every niche, on every continent. The idea that all of that money concentrates at the very top is not just wrong. It's demonstrably, numerically, verifiably false. And, I recently spoke with a creator named Lee. Lee is not a full-time YouTuber. He still works a regular job. He's still deeply involved in his ministry community. And his channel, with a modest following by any mainstream standard, generates approximately $30,000 a year through the combination of ad revenue, affiliate commissions, and occasional brand partnerships. Lee's story doesn't make headlines. It doesn't trend on social media. But it represents something far more important than a viral moment. It represents a sustainable, growing, real-world business built quietly on a platform that most people assume is already too crowded and too dominated for someone like him to find success. The long tail of YouTube is where most of the opportunity actually lives. Not in the race to go viral, not in the competition to outspend MrBeast, but in the steady, consistent, niche-specific work of showing up for an audience that genuinely needs what you uniquely have to offer. Let's come back to Sherry for a moment. 77 years old. No prior YouTube experience, no production background, no existing audience waiting for her to launch. She enrolled in a structured training program, attended every session, took detailed notes, and applied what she learned with a level of discipline and focus that honestly puts most younger creators to shame. And when she posted her first video, built on a proven framework, optimized for discovery, crafted with genuine intention, it earned 35,000 views in its first week and triggered YouTube's monetization threshold. Sherry is not a unicorn. She's a case study in what happens when someone refuses to accept the idea that their moment has passed. The too late myth is particularly insidious because it masquerades as realism. It sounds like wisdom. It sounds like practical, grounded thinking from someone who has assessed the situation and reached a logical conclusion. But it isn't. It's fear wearing the costume of common sense. Here's the reality of where YouTube stands today. The platform is not winding down. It is not retreating. The CEO of YouTube has publicly and explicitly articulated a vision for the platform that spans not just the next few years, but the next few decades. YouTube is investing in new formats, new creator tools, new monetization avenues, and new audience development strategies at a scale that would only make sense if the platform's leadership believed the best years were still ahead. New audiences are being born on YouTube every single day. New global events create demand for new voices and new perspectives, new technologies, new cultural moments, new political developments, new health crises, new entertainment trends. Every single one of these generates a fresh wave of viewers searching for someone to help them understand, process, and navigate what they're experiencing. The platform doesn't just allow new creators, it needs them, constantly, indefinitely. And the too late narrative falls apart even more completely when you consider the specific timing dynamics of individual niches. The right question is never, is it too late for YouTube? The right question is it too late for someone with my specific knowledge, perspective, and life experience to reach an audience that needs exactly what I have to offer? The answer to that second question is almost always no, because your specific combination of experiences, expertise, and perspective has never been shared on YouTube before. Not by anyone, not ever, because there is only one you. Of all the myths on this list, this is the one that deserves the most genuine compassion, because it comes from the most real place. Life in the 21st century is relentlessly demanding. Full-time jobs, family obligations, financial pressures, health challenges, social responsibilities. The sheer mental load of modern existence is exhausting, and the idea of build a YouTube channel to that stack can feel not just overwhelming, but almost insulting in its audacity. Henry Ford, the industrialist who built one of the greatest manufacturing empires in human history, is credited with a deceptively simple observation. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. If you believe you don't have time, that belief will make itself true. You will find every reason to confirm it. Every week will pass with YouTube remaining on the theoretical someday list that never actually arrives. But here's what the conversation about time almost always misses. The amount of time that YouTube actually requires has changed dramatically in recent years, and most people are still operating with a mental model that's years out of date. Historically, serious YouTube creators talked about spending 20, 30, sometimes 40 hours per week on their channels, researching scripting, filming, editing, optimizing, and promoting every upload. That timeline was real. For many creators, it still is, but the landscape has shifted fundamentally. AI tools have compressed the production pipeline at almost every stage. Video editing platforms now offer automated cut removal, transcript-based editing, noise reduction, and intelligent formatting tools that do in minutes what used to take hours. Research that once required a full afternoon of reading can now be initiated and organized in minutes with the right AI prompting. Scripting, outlining, SEO optimization. All of these processes have been accelerated dramatically by tools that are accessible to anyone on any budget. Creators who once invested 20 hours in a single video are now producing comparable quality content in 4 to 6 hours. And creators who are strategic about the type of content they make, specifically content designed to rank in YouTube search and earn views for months and years after upload, are building channels that grow even during weeks when they don't post at all. Think about that. A strategically made video uploaded today could earn views, generate ad revenue, and attract subscribers in 6 months, in 2 years, potentially longer. That fundamentally changes the math on how much time YouTube actually requires. The 5-hour YouTube work week isn't a fantasy. For creators who understand how to make ranked content that the algorithm actively surfaces to new viewers in response to ongoing search behavior, it's a very real and very achievable operating structure. Yes, YouTube will require time. Anyone who tells you otherwise is not being honest with you. But the question isn't whether it takes time. The question is whether you can find 5 focused, strategic hours per week for something that could change the financial trajectory of your life. And for most people, if they're truly honest about how their time is currently being spent, the answer is yes. Here's a quick exercise. Take out the device you're using right now. Whether it's a smartphone, a tablet, or a laptop, look at it. Really look at it. That device, in your hands right now, contains more video production capability than television studios possessed 20 years ago. The camera technology in modern smartphones is capable of capturing footage that would have required tens of thousands of dollars in professional equipment a decade ago. The audio processing, image stabilization, color science, and low-light performance built into today's consumer devices are, by any objective standard, extraordinary. And the editing software? Entry-level laptops, including recent models priced in the low hundreds of dollars, are fully capable of handling professional video editing workflows. The barrier to production quality, which was genuinely significant even 5 years ago, has been reduced to near zero for anyone who has access to a modern smartphone and a basic computer. The equipment objection, to put it plainly, has expired. As for skills, yes, YouTube requires skills. Video production is a craft. Storytelling takes practice. Optimization requires learning. None of that is pretend. But skills are learnable. Every single person who is currently producing excellent YouTube content was, at one point, someone who had never edited a video, had never scripted a piece to camera, had never thought about thumbnail design or SEO or audience retention curves. They learned. Step by step, video by video, they acquired the skills through the act of doing. The skills barrier isn't a wall. It's a learning curve, and every journey up that curve starts with the decision to begin. Here's a truth that might surprise you. This objection is almost never actually about content. When someone says, "I don't know what to talk about," what they almost always mean is something far more vulnerable than a simple lack of ideas. What they're really saying, beneath the surface, is, "I don't think I'm interesting enough. I don't think I'm qualified enough. I don't think anyone would actually want to watch me." That's not a content strategy problem. That's a confidence problem. There's a principle in the creator space, popularized by speaker and author Rory Vaden, that crystallizes this perfectly. You are most powerfully positioned to serve the person you were yesterday, not the person you'll be in 10 years after a decade of additional expertise and credentials. The person you were yesterday, still working through the problems, still figuring it out, still in the middle of the journey. That version of you has something to offer, right now, without any additional certification or validation from anyone. And beyond the relatable one-step-ahead creator, there's a format thriving on YouTube right now that requires even less expertise than that: the documented experiment. Channels built around personal trials, testing a new diet, following a specific morning routine, learning a new language in 30 days, trying a new workout program, building a skill from scratch, are driving millions of views. The creator in these videos isn't positioned as an expert. They're positioned as an experiment. The audience comes for the journey, for the authentic, unpolished, real-time discovery process that unfolds over time. You don't need a PhD to be a compelling YouTuber. You need a perspective, a willingness to share it, and the consistency to keep showing up. And for those still wrestling with whether their perspective is valuable enough, consider the Dunning-Kruger effect. A well-documented psychological phenomenon where people with limited knowledge in an area tend to dramatically overestimate their competence, while people who have begun genuinely developing mastery tend to become more aware of how much they still have to learn. If you're sitting here thinking you don't feel qualified enough to teach something, that awareness, that humility, that